Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Her Side of the Ruck, proudly sponsored by Hook and Flanker. I'm Tash.
I'm Bernice.
And we're not pundits.
We're just two women who know what a ruck is.
On this episode, we'll be doing a brief chat about the confirmed top 8 in the United Rugby Championship and also offering our preview thoughts ahead of the EPCR Challenge Cup final and the Investec Champions Cup final taking place this weekend. So the URC Top 8 are confirmed and Ulster just misses out, but for the Belfast-based side, they face Montpellier on Friday night in a decider for the trophy in the Challenge Cup. Leinster, on the other hand, have peaked at the right time. When they started fairly slow at the top of the season, they are second in the table with a home quarter-final confirmed and also play Bordeaux this weekend to decide the winner of the Investec Champions Cup. But first of all, let's talk about the top 8 in the URC. Bernice, what are your thoughts from this weekend?
I think very disappointed with the predictions that I gave. I think my predictions came more from a place of this is what I'd hope would happen, not very realistically speaking. But yeah, I genuinely also thought there were a chance for my predictions to actually, play out the way I thought it would, but it didn't. But I think what was so nice about this weekend was that you were kind of at the edge of your seat with every single match because you knew that the log was not determined right until the last match of round 18. So
Yeah.
I think it was really an exciting weekend. I think the Stormers made things very difficult for themselves by losing to Cardiff. And I
Yes.
think Glasgow, on the other hand, did themselves a massive favour by winning
Yeah.
against Ulster.
Yeah.
I just think in the long run and when, it comes to semi-finals and finals, Glasgow and Leinster, should they progress past the quarterfinals, have made it really a lot easier for themselves compared to other teams. The log changed so many times throughout the season.
Yeah.
With the Glasgow and the Stormers varying between different stages or different places of the top four. But I do think every one of the teams who made it to the top four and the top 8 is very well deserved. It was also, we have confirmation now that it was the first time that the Lions did actually qualify for the top 8. So, I mean, that is very amazing for them. And there was also a chance that they might have not qualified depending on how results played out. So very happy that it played out for them in a way that they did actually progress, because I think they were very good this season. I think this was probably the
Yeah.
best season that they had in the URC. And yeah, there's also the possibility of a South African derby in a
Oh,
semi-quarter final
yes.
if the Stormers and the Bulls go on to win their quarter-final matches. But yeah, we've also spoke about what a tough opponent Munster can be. So I think between those two matches, that is probably the toughest one of the two. But yeah, also cannot count Cardiff out. But I do think the Stormers losing to Cardiff this weekend gives them the upper hand in the quarterfinal, and I don't really see them losing. But yeah, I think overall it was a very good weekend of rugby. I think not for the Stormers. I think they would have wanted that first place because it just makes things so much easier going into the playoffs. But yeah,
Yeah.
now you have to play with the cards that you've burned out.
I do think it's a good advert, though, for the South African and the Irish teams. Three out
Mm,
of four of your teams are in the top 8. And
yeah,
realistically, for Ireland, it was going to be Ulster or Connacht, one of the two.
mm,
It really depended on the
yeah,
result. I'm really chuffed that Connacht have got in the top 8. And
yeah.
obviously, I hope they don't beat Glasgow in a week and a bit's time at the point of we're recording this. But I am pleased to see them in the top 8 because I think they have been a very much improving team in defence. I think they've
Yeah.
always had pretty good attack, but it's really nice to see them get in the top 8 place. I think Munster, for me, have gone under the radar because a lot of the times when I've seen their score lines, I've thought, oh, that was a bit of a shock. I was, and the same with the Bulls, but both of them,
Mm.
Munster fifth, Bulls are fourth, and these two teams just don't know how to not get into the playoffs. They are two very well experienced sides and will do whatever it takes to get into knockout rugby, and they've done so again. And thing is, when you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. Though I do think the teams traveling to South Africa probably won't come away with the wins, but
Mm.
Loftus isn't this invincible place anymore. And if Munster put out a good team, this is the only thing they've got to play for now. So you can see both teams going hard, though I do think it will favour the Bulls on this occasion. I echo your thoughts about the Lions. I think this is their best season so far, but they have, in the last 2 to 3 rounds, they've just kind of
Mm.
descended the table from where we were recording a couple of episodes ago being like, they could have a home quarterfinal, they could have a home semi-final, and then
Yeah.
now they're
Mm.
away from home
Yeah.
if they go, or if they could go all the way. Very strong positions for Glasgow and Leinster. I obviously believe Glasgow could go all the way and be the first team to win two URC trophies. But we've had a new winner every single year, and I wouldn't. Will we have the same again? Will the Bulls edge it? Because they've been so close on so many occasions. They are in the top four. They could have an away semi-final, but a home quarter-final just helps you build that confidence going into it. So Ulster may feel hard done by not getting
Mm.
into the top eight, because I thought they started the season really well. But what the URC rewards is peaking at the right time. And I don't think Ulster peaks at the right time in this competition. But they still have a chance of winning silverware, which we will get onto. Yeah, not the result for the Stormers, but I don't doubt they'll beat Cardiff at the DHL in a week's time,
Yeah.
because not
Yeah.
many teams go to the DHL and win.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably, I don't want to write Cardiff off, but I think that's probably the quarterfinal that's most guaranteed. Obviously, I don't hope that the Stormers listens to this podcast, because you should still be on top of your game and be playing at your best. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably, to me, the most likely outcome is the Stormers will win.
Mm,
I'm also quite positive that the Bulls will win. Realistically speaking, I think all of the home teams will win. So even
yeah.
Glasgow, Leinster, it's going to be very, very tough for the Lions to actually go on and beat Leinster at the Aviva. And
Yes,
we've
it will
seen
be.
them play Leinster at the Aviva, what was it, like 2 rounds ago, and it didn't go quite well. And it's very tough to play there. So I do think a home ground advantage favors all of the teams currently. But yeah, I think upsets would look like, the Lions beating Leinster, Connacht beating Glasgow, Cardiff beating the Stormers. Munster is always such a dark horse, so I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Bulls, but I don't think they will this time around. I just think the Bulls have been playing some good rugby over the past few rounds. So if they can keep
Yeah,
up that momentum, I'm sure they will win. But yeah, I think the Lions probably have the toughest role.
definitely. Playing Leinster at the Avivas, probably one of the worst fixtures I think you can draw in
Yeah.
knockout rugby. It's absolutely horrible. Leinster are formidable at home when it comes to playoff games. Munster don't have a bad record in South Africa either.
Yeah.
Like that last year, going to the Sharks in Durban for that infamous
Mm.
penalty shootout, came
Yeah.
down to the wire. So that was a great contest. I don't know if we'll get to see that again in this quarterfinal,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we shall see. We shall see. But for Ulster, they may feel disheartened, but they do have a trophy to fight for on Friday night. So let's talk about that. The EPCR Challenge Cup and the Investec Champions Cup taking place for the finals in Bilbao. The Friday night fixture on the 22nd of May, 8 p.m. GMT or 9 p.m. South Africa time. That is Montpellier versus Ulster. Looking at the history, Montpellier have won this title before in 2021. Guess who it was against? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you. It was Leicester Tigers, my team. I was there.
Oh, no.
Great. They lost by 1 point. I went with my dad, and it was a bit of a weird atmosphere because so 2021 we still had like pretty much like everywhere in the world we still had the big COVID restrictions. So this was I think my first time at Twickenham, and so there was only 10,000 people in the stadium, and we had some
Oh,
French
no.
fans behind me with allez le bleu. Like, I was
Oh.
like, allez le Montpellier, allez Montpellier. And I was like, sat there being like, come on, Tigers. Anyway, Tigers lost by a point. So that was the last time Montpellier won this competition. But it does feel a bit like a lifetime ago, but they've won silverware before. They've also won it before that, 5 years before that. Montpellier, they beat Harlequins in 2016, 1926. But for Ulster, they've never been a final in this competition. They were in the final of the Investec Champions Cup, or I think it was the Heineken Cup back in 2012, but they lost to Leinster 42-14. So it was
Oh.
a bit of a battering on that occasion. But they did win the Investec Champions Cup, or the version of it, in 1999 against the Colonmeyers, 21-6. So going off the history, Montpellier probably are going to win this one, and Montpellier are second in the top 14. So they're having a pretty good season. What do you think about this? How do you think both of these teams are coming in form? Obviously, Ulster have, this is the only thing they have to fight for now. If they don't win,
Mm.
season over, no silverware, no playoffs in the URC to show for it.
It's going to be interesting because I think mindset is going to play a big part in both of the teams going into the final because I think Ulster are coming off, you know, which was not a bad season for them in the URC, but now they're out
Mm,
of the top eight. If this final is over and they lose, they have nothing to play for the rest of the season.
yeah,
So they're going to have to pick themselves up, get the confidence back, and it's a quick turnaround. It's Saturday to Friday.
yeah.
So it's a quick turnaround for them. Whereas Montpellier, as you've said, they've had such a good season in the top 14 and in the EPCR. So they're going in with already a lot of confidence. So it's going to be interesting. I think Ulster have nothing to lose, and obviously looking
Yeah,
at the history favors Montpellier.
yeah.
But I'm gonna go with the underdog and I'm gonna say Ulster will win. I think Ulster is a very difficult team to play. I don't think it will be a big score, even if Montpellier goes on to win. I don't
Mm.
think it will be a big score, or high scoring game. But yeah, I'm gonna say Ulster will take this one.
I think my head says Montpellier just based on current form. My
Yeah.
heart says Ulster. I would love to see Ulster get some silverware. They've had a real transformation compared to last
Mhm.
season with their on-pitch product. And I think this is the year that they can take away some
Mhm.
silverware because they've not won any in a while. So this would be a nice, I guess, a nice cherry on top of the Sunday of
Yeah.
improvement from this year. Also, I just love their socials. I think their social team have been killing it
Mhm.
this year. Keep up with the great content. It's been amazing to watch. That'll be a great contest Friday night on the 22nd of May. But I suppose the biggie, which is the big game that a lot of people always look forward
Yeah.
to, is the Investec Champions Cup final. And these are two European giants, Bordeaux Begler versus Leinster. The current champions of this competition versus the current URC champions. Leinster have a very strong history in this competition. I like this took up quite a lot of space on my notes as I was writing down how many times they've been
Yeah.
in finals, how many times they've won this. So
Yeah.
I do think, but French teams have been their weakness. So 2025, probably their weakest on record in the last 3-4 years. They got to the semi-final, lost to Northampton Saints. 2024 got to the final, lost by a point to La Rochelle. 2023 got to the final, lost by 3 points to La Rochelle. 2019 got to the final, lost by 10 points to Saracens. 2018 was the last time they won this competition, and they beat Racing 92 by 3 points. Then they went back. They went back to back in 2011 and 2012 to win the competition, which was the Heineken Cup in that format, and they also won in 2009. They have a legacy of being quite strong in this competition for sure. But Bordeaux are the current champions, and we've seen what they can do, especially in attack. They really light it up. They've also demolished quite a few teams on their way to getting to this final. They are ruthless, if anything. But Bordeaux are fifth in the top 14. So it looks like they've prioritised this competition a bit more
Mhm.
as like where Leinster were in September, like October at the start of the URC to where they are now, like I've been very impressed by how they've overcome whatever fatigue they may have felt from the International Summer Tour or the British and Irish Lions Tour, because they've peaked at the right time. I think Leinster are a more process-driven side than Bordeaux, but Bordeaux are just so intense in attack and they really thrive in unstructured phases of play as well, particularly with their back line and back three. I think Bordeaux have, well, I strongly feel that Bordeaux had the edge at 10. I think at scrum half, Luku versus James Gibson Park, I think that would be a really good head-to-head. Are there any head-to-heads that stand out for you? Any players who you're excited to see, and what do you think will happen in this game?
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I think the matchup that I was looking forward to was Luku versus Jameson Gibson Park. I think Jameson Gibson Park has really been playing very good rugby, and it's so interesting because he's one of the more senior players in Leinster side, but his rugby has really been thriving over the past few games with actually individual brilliance and some individual
Yeah.
tries, which is great. I just generally like watching Bordeaux play, so I'm looking forward to Louis Bielbiere, Damien Penaud, Matthew Jalibert. Like those are just the players that I love watching in every match, just because of their attacking play. But I definitely agree with you on Leinster being a lot more structured in terms of the way that they play. They like their set pieces, whereas Bordeaux thrive more from their attacking play, their backline. I mean, they have an
Yeah,
amazing backline, so why not use that?
absolutely.
But offloads, they also like attacking from deep. So I think if Leinster kicks, they have to make sure that they keep them in their half because Bordeaux is not
Mm,
afraid to attack from deep and, just run the ball. So I think
yeah.
Leinster are going to have to be very clever with the way that they manage the game. Otherwise, you're just going to see a try faced. And I think Leinster's defense will also have to be really good because if you miss one or two tackles against a team like Bordeaux, it's going to be very costly for you.
The passing speed for Bordeaux is so quick.
Insane.
It's going to be like a quarter of a second or something with how quickly they pass the ball in some of their structures. They just play such a fluid game. More at times, I'm like it feels like sevens rather than 15s,
Yeah.
just with how quick and particularly in that back line. I think if Leinster can make their kicks contestable and go slightly shorter, then that's when they could use the aerial advantage to them. I think they might have the edge in terms of the mobility in their front row. Like I
Mm.
personally rate Dan
Yeah.
Sheehan. I think he's great,
Yeah.
and I think he can also create chaos himself by picking gaps in an opposition's defence. But I just think overall Bordeaux have more of an edge with that, and we've seen them do that so well in this competition. They wrap up teams and they strip it out wide, or if a team adapts to going on the wide channel, they go through the centre of the field. The kicking as well, and the link up between Jalibert and Penaud. The word on the park is Penaud just likes to do his own thing. Apparently, that's the thing in training. He just does his own
Mm.
thing, and Jalabert is probably one of the only people that can rein him in. That's the word on the rugby street. Cannot confirm
Yeah.
or deny whether that's true. It's just something that I've heard through the channels of rugby union. But actually, if it works and it pays off, I'm kind of a bit like, well, don't rein it in. It's almost like play the Olivia Dean song, "Don't Rein Me In," or the Tom
Yeah.
Fender, Olivia Dean, that one, "Don't rein me
Yeah.
in." But Penno must have that on repeat, surely. But yeah, I think this will be a structured team versus a less structured team. And I think whoever can implement their game plan to the greatest effect will be the victors. There's two ways I see this happening. It's really, really close and Leinster win, or Bordeaux win by
Mm.
20 points. I don't see any other possibility of happening.
Definitely. And you know what? I think Bordeaux reminds me of the Stormers, but just with like a lot better execution and a lot more like patience. Like if the Stormers were like the perfect team and work on a few of their things, like that's what Bordeaux reminds me of because
Mm,
what you're saying about Pinot liking to do his own thing. I don't necessarily think Sasha's like that, like doing his own thing, but I do think they give him a lot of freedom in terms of the way
To be
that he
creative.
plays. Yes, just be creative,
Mm.
play your own game and whatever, obviously within the game plan. But yeah, obviously I'm not saying the Stormers are close to what Bordeaux is doing, but you get the gist of it.
They're kind of in the same vector of the style of play that
Yeah.
they're trying to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like their backline players and so, but yeah, I
Mm.
kind of see it play out the exact same way that you do. Either Bordeaux will just put up a big score and they'll just run away with it. Try scoring first is kind of how I see it play out, and really want Bordeaux to win. Yeah, or when Leinster is just gonna win it by like a very, very small margin, 3 or 5 points. But my head and my heart says Bordeaux will win. And I'm really hoping this is a one prediction that actually comes true, you know?
I I've been pretty good with my predictions for the most part
Mhm.
across a competition, not the men's Six Nations. Let's just forget about that. I was pretty accurate with the women. I was accurate with the top two and who came bottom of that table. And I did a good job of getting all the teams right in the top eight of the URC, just not in the right order. I did get Glasgow and Connacht at
Yeah,
top and bottom, right? But
yeah.
everyone else was just kind of in the wrong order, but they were there. This one, I don't really have an emotional stake in either of these teams
Mm.
because both of the teams that I support don't do very well against either of these sides when they've played them. So
Yeah.
I don't really have a preference, but then I'm probably going to have to lean on the Irish roots of my dad's side
Oh,
on this occasion. And I never thought I would say this, but I'm going to
Tash,
back Leinster
no.
to win. Yeah, I am. I'm going to back the men in blue
Oh,
to win. I think this is a third time they face a French team in a final. They have to be third time lucky. I think because of how good Bordeaux have been in this competition as well, I would love to see an upset, even if it's from a team that has normally been the team that cruises through all the way and then gets flummoxed in the final hurdle. I I think Leinster probably deserve it, given how successful they've been in this competition. And I think it would be unsuccessful if they don't get a trophy this year.
mm.
And I know we've said that a lot in the past, but like last year, winning the URC was a do or die for them. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of personnel changes. There must have been. But they've all held
Yeah.
on to their jobs as a result of that trophy. I think if they win this trophy this weekend, it holds on to the systems are working. But there is my gut feeling is Bordeaux. I do think they'll go back to back. But I am saying this, I do actually want Leinster to win. Don't ever take this clip out of context because I know you will have done it if you have. If you download this episode and then you take this out of context. But yeah, I'm going to go on the family roots and I'm going to say Leinster.
I don't know if we can be friends after this. Like, I am definitely will be taking this out of context and post it when Glasgow wins and when Leinster win in the URC. And then we'll be posting this clip again saying Tash reverts to her Irish roots.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, well, I think someone in the Coyle family is a Leinster supporter. Not sure. I don't know if I've ever met them. They must be like quite far down the family line. I've got a big Catholic family on my dad's side. Anyway, you don't need to hear about my
Mm-hmm.
family life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm speechless now. I'm speechless now. What I was going to say is we probably won't be friends at points coming into the summer because we do have the Nations Championship upcoming. So we're going to be having lots of
Yeah.
heated debates in the
Yeah.
next 6 to 10 weeks on the show. So yeah, you're in for some good conversation here on her side of the ruck. And as always, we would love to hear your thoughts on the competitions, whether it's the URC or the EPCR and Investec Champions Cup this weekend. Who do you think will win? Please let us know down in the comments. Right, that's all we've got time for on this episode of Her Side of the Ruck. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and a like. And if you are new to the page and you enjoyed this episode and you want to be part of the channel, then hit the red subscribe button so you don't miss out on any episodes that we publish. But that's all we've got time for on this episode of Her Side of the Ruck. So we're going to wrap up and I'm going to say goodbye. I am Tash and I'll see you next time.
I'm Bernice and I'm signing off from SA.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.